Have you ever witnessed an act of kindness so pure, so unexpected, that it just leaves you speechless? Well, that's exactly what happened when one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, Tom Hanks, did something so incredible it left a struggling family in awe. Imagine being at your lowest point, feeling like there's no way out, and then out of nowhere, someone comes to your rescue. And not just anyone, but Tom Hanks. Yes, the Tom Hanks. But what happened next? Well, it's a moment so heartwarming. It'll make you believe in the power of kindness all over again. Tom Hanks is known for many things. His iconic roles in films, his down-to-earth personality, and his undeniable charm. But there's one thing that might surprise you even more: his ability to put aside everything for those in need. This isn't a scene from one of his movies. This is real life. A few months ago, Tom found himself in the middle of an incredible moment where he didn't just play the hero on screen, but in real life as well. It all started when a family, struggling with hardships that no one should ever have to face, found themselves at a crossroads. Life wasn't just tough for them, it felt impossible. But sometimes, when things seem darkest, the right person comes along at the right moment to make everything change. And in this case, that person was none other than Tom Hanks himself. So, what did he do? How did he step up? And what happened after that? Stay with us as we dive into a story that'll remind you that kindness and generosity still exist in this world. Before Tom Hanks stepped into the picture, this family was living through one of the most challenging times of their lives. The Jones family, let's call them that, had been battling financial hardship, illness, and an overall sense of hopelessness. The mother, Sarah, had recently lost a job due to unforeseen circumstances, and her husband, Mark, had been dealing with a health scare that left him unable to work for months. To top it all off, their children, Emma and Jake, were facing difficulties in school, dealing with the emotional toll of watching their parents struggle. At this point, it seemed like no matter how hard they tried, nothing would get better. The stress of everyday life, combined with mounting bills and the fear of what would come next, was taking a serious toll on the family. Sarah and Mark felt like they had no one to turn to. They didn't want to burden their friends, and they didn't know where to look for help. But life has a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. One day, out of the blue, the Jones family's life was about to change. It all started when Sarah took a trip to the local grocery store, hoping to find some relief from the overwhelming stress she'd been feeling. As she shuffled through the aisles, barely able to focus on the items in her cart, she noticed something unusual: a familiar face standing just a few feet away. There, in the middle of the store, was none other than Tom Hanks. Yes, the Tom Hanks, smiling as he greeted people, being his usual warm and approachable self. But what Sarah didn't know at that moment was that Tom was about to change everything for her and her family. Seeing Tom so close, Sarah's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't just because he was a Hollywood icon, but because something about his presence felt different, almost as if fate had put him there for a reason. At first, she hesitated, unsure if it was just her tired mind playing tricks. But then, to her surprise, Tom approached her. With a kind smile, Tom asked, "How's your day going?" Sarah, overwhelmed by his presence and the weight of everything she had been dealing with, found herself sharing a piece of her story with him. She told him about the struggles her family was facing, how they couldn't seem to catch a break no matter what they tried. Tom listened intently, not just as a celebrity, but as a human being who genuinely cared. He didn't rush her, didn't brush her off. He asked questions, nodded sympathetically, and made her feel seen in a way she hadn't in a long time. After hearing Sarah's story, Tom did something completely unexpected. Instead of simply offering words of comfort, he did what most people would never think to do. He took action. In that very moment, with a warm but serious tone, he told Sarah, "I know things are tough right now, but you don't have to go through this alone." Without another word, Tom reached into his pocket and handed her a business card. "Call me if you need help with anything." "I mean it," he said. The card was simple, just his name, phone number, and a note that said, "No request is too big or small." Sarah was stunned. She couldn't believe that this man, whom she had only ever seen on the big screen, was offering to help her in such a personal, meaningful way. She had heard of celebrities giving to charity or helping out causes, but this was different. This was real, human connection. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should take the card. But Tom, sensing her uncertainty, gave her a reassuring smile. "Don't worry. It's just me, Tom Hanks. No strings attached. If you need a hand, don't be afraid to ask." As Sarah stood there, looking at the card in her hand, a mixture of emotions flooded her. It was a gesture so simple, yet so powerful, and it gave her a glimmer of hope in a time when she felt like everything was falling apart. But it didn't stop there. Tom didn't just walk away, leaving her to wonder what to do next. He stayed with her, chatting about how life can be unpredictable and challenging, but that it's those small acts of kindness that can make all the difference. That it wasn't just Sarah who felt the impact of Tom Hanks' kindness. Word quickly spread through the community about his unexpected act. Sarah shared the story with her neighbors, her friends, and her family, and soon enough, the whole neighborhood knew about the time Tom Hanks stepped in to help. But what's truly remarkable about this moment wasn't just that Tom offered help. It was the way it sparked something bigger. People began to reflect on their own lives and how they, too, could make a difference. They started thinking about the small gestures that could mean the world to someone in need. For weeks after that moment, people in the community started looking out for one another in ways they hadn't before. Neighbors who hadn't spoken in years started helping each other with grocery runs. Strangers were lending a hand without expecting anything in return. The kindness that Tom had shown Sarah started to spread, and it became a wave of goodwill that touched everyone it came into contact with. Sarah, inspired by Tom's actions, decided to pay it forward. She began volunteering at local shelters and helping families who were facing the same struggles she once did. And every time someone asked why she was doing it, she'd tell them the story of how Tom Hanks showed her that no act of kindness is ever too small. She would always say, "He didn't just help me. He helped all of us by reminding us of what really matters." What started as one simple gesture of kindness turned into a chain reaction of goodwill that changed the lives of so many people as expected. When a celebrity like Tom Hanks does something as heartfelt as this, the media takes notice. The story of his kindness quickly became one of the most talked about moments in Hollywood and beyond. News outlets, blogs, and even social media channels shared the story, many of them praising Tom for not just being a great actor, but for being an even greater human being. But what was most heartwarming wasn't just the praise from the public, but the overwhelming support from his fans. People were inspired by his actions, and many began sharing their own stories of how they had been helped by others in their times of need. It became a viral movement of kindness, with people posting about how they had experienced or witnessed moments of unexpected goodness. Fans took to social media, expressing their admiration for Tom. Hashtags like #HanksKindness and #PayItForward started trending, as people pledged to take small steps to help those around them, whether it was helping a neighbor with yard work, donating clothes to a shelter, or just offering a kind word to someone struggling. The media praised Tom for not only being a positive role model, but for reminding the world that sometimes the best thing a person can do is simply be there for someone in their time of need. Tom's action was a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can have a huge impact, not just on one person, but on an entire community. But what made this story even more special was Tom's humble reaction to all the attention. When asked about it during an interview, he shrugged and said, "I didn't do it for the recognition. I did it because it was the right thing to do." This humility only added to the admiration people felt for him. It wasn't about the praise. It was about making the world a better place, one kind act at a time. That as we wrap up this heartwarming story, it's clear that Tom Hanks is so much more than just a beloved actor. He's a true hero, a person who understands the importance of kindness and compassion, and someone who isn't afraid to put others before himself, no matter how busy his life might be. Tom's decision to help that struggling family is a reminder to all of us that even the smallest gestures can make the biggest impact. It doesn't take fame or fortune to change someone's life. It just takes a genuine heart and a willingness to help when it's needed most. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to be more like Tom Hanks? In a world where we often hear about negativity and division, stories like this help restore our faith in humanity. They remind us that there is so much good in the world, even when it feels like we don't see enough of it. So, what can we take away from this? Simple. If you see someone in need, don't wait for the world to change. You can be the change. Whether it's offering a listening ear, sharing a meal, or helping out in any way you can, those small acts can have a ripple effect far beyond what you might ever know. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed or experienced an act of kindness that changed your day? Or maybe you've done something for someone else that made a difference. Drop a comment below and share your story. I would love to hear from you. Before we go, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one. And hey, share with someone who might need a little reminder that kindness really does make the world go round. Thanks for watching, and remember, be kind, be compassionate, and be the change you want to see in the world.